Oh, this is a good one. Ray from Colorado. Uh, Christian nations' GDP is higher in Christian nations than it is others most of the time. Ray, you're on with Matt and Johnny. Account for this. What are you talking about?
So the U.S. GDP, total GDP, is around 22 trillion per year, usually. That's higher than a lot of other nations, especially atheists.
It's higher than all other nations. It's higher than all other nations. It's higher than China.
Yes. Yeah. North Korea.
But so what?
I mean, even Japan. Well,
but also, have you compared the population of Japan and the landmass of Japan to the United States? I mean, we have a big space here with a lot of people. But in any case,
right.
What difference does GDP make? What is that a measure of?
Well, I would say the laws have something to do with it.
Yeah, but
The
laws in the United States, the United States is a secular nation with a secular constitution. And the only time that it addresses, for example, God belief is in Article 6, where it says there'll be no religious test for any public office or trust. So if the point is, the United States is a Christian nation with Christian laws, that's just not true.
Yeah. And the First Amendment.
If my engine works better than your engine, would you say I'm doing something right? And
is this like
you're not comparing engines? Right. You're wanting to look at how fast the car can go and talk about who's sitting in the back seat looking at what picture book. I'm talking about the actual engine. The engine for the economy is based on the individuals, the laws, all of these things, none of which has anything to do with religion. You're sitting here saying because the person driving the car believes that Jesus wants them to drive, that all of a sudden that's why they can drive faster. And that's a bullshit argument.
No, I think this is like a prosperity gospel kind of a view to it. I don't accept that this is a Christian nation. There's tons of Christians in here. Their Christianity informs their voting habits, informs their purchasing habits, but it's not solely a Christian nation. It is not structured in a Christian way, in quotation marks. So
I disagree.
Really? Okay. So let's have it.
You're actually wrong. What about the United States laws as Christian?
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, can you worship other gods?
No.
If you're in the United States, are you allowed to worship whatever God you want?
So you're going to force me into a yes or no session?
I'm asking you yes or no questions. I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that the answers don't seem to fit your model, but that's the problem I'm trying to expose.
Some things are just yes and no or bullshit non-response.
Can I force you into a yes or no session?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, go for
it. Okay, is the U.S. majority Christian? Yes or no?
Yes. It's also majority women.
Okay, does the U.S. have the best military, yes or no?
The best? I'm not sure.
I will say the most powerful military.
Do we spend more on it and have better military capability? Yes.
Let's hope we don't find out the real answer to that, but let's say yes for purposes of argument. Right?
Are laws related to morality? Yes.
No.
Are laws generally related to morality?
There's no requirement that something be legal or illegal based solely on whether or not it's moral or not. There are plenty of things that are immoral that aren't illegal, and there are things that are illegal that aren't moral.
I'm going to object.
There's not a one-to-one tie there.
I'm going to object as vague, ambiguous, and not reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence on this one, because that's a crap question. But I would say that if we're talking about morality as a system that produces certain results, then the laws are moral in the sense that we are trying to produce a fair and equitable society. But
we're supposed to say on yes or no, and so the answer is no.
Oh yeah. Then
well.
So what's your next yes or no? Keep going, because I'd love for you to get me on something that's clearly false. The United States is not a Christian nation.
Yeah.
Do you think that the U.S. would be as prosperous as it is if it was a pagan nation?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what specific principles, and I don't know what a pagan nation would be. Do you think the United States is a female nation?
No, it's male and female.
But aren't there more females in the United States than males? Doesn't that make it a majority female nation? And doesn't that? Yeah. So now that means under your argument, based on there being more Christians here than others, and you're suggesting if there are more Christians, then it's a Christian nation. Then by that same reasoning, it should be a female nation, right?
I would say it's slightly majority female. I wouldn't call it a female nation.
Correct. And I would say it's a slightly majority Christian nation, but not a Christian nation. Because the laws of the United States are not in any way based on Christianity. And the Treaty of Tripoli, by the way, which was unanimously ratified by Congress, expressly announces that the United States is in no way founded upon the Christian religion. And that was unanimously approved once the Treaty with Tripoli was signed. So we have a legal document established by Congress, which identifies to another nation that we are not, in fact, a Christian nation. We then have our Constitution, which only mentions religiosity in the sense that there can be no religious test for any public office or trust. The laws themselves of the United States are not necessarily tied to Christianity in any strong sense. It allows for other gods. It allows for speech against gods. It allows for all these things. Is adultery immoral?
Yeah, I would say so.
And you think Christianity holds adultery as immoral as well?
Yeah.
Is adultery illegal in any sense where someone could realistically be prosecuted for it in the United States?
As a crime and put into prison or pay a fee.
If you're talking about divorce, yes.
I'm not talking about divorce. I asked you if adultery was a crime.
A crime, polygamous adultery, I think.
We're talking about
that's not adultery.
Is it punishable by a fine or a term in jail?
Here's the thing. Is it, I'm supposed to, according to the Bible, honor my mother and father. If I dishonor my mother and father, is that illegal?
No.
Yeah. How many of the 10 Commandments?
It depends on
how many of the 10 Commandments are actually have an analog in United States law? How many of them?
Okay, I would say, well, the do not murder or thou shalt not murder is one of them. Thou shalt not steal.
Those are the same. There's not a thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not murder. That's one commandment. Do you not know the commandments? What's the first commandment?
With that, thou shalt not. If you look in the Hebrew, it does mean murder. So thou shalt not murder.
But you don't get to pretend it's two. Here, let's go through the 10 Commandments in order. What's the first one?
If I remember right, I don't know them offhand, but I believe it's.
Wait, aren't you calling to be the defender that this is a Christian nation? Shouldn't you know what our laws are based on?
What kind of a defender of the faith are you?
I would say it's honor thy mother, thy father. Is that correct?
You're wrong.
Number one.
You're wrong. The
Number
first commandment is I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt have no other gods before me. That is, I cannot believe. So I get it. You know murder, but I'm always baffled at somebody who thinks that they're a defender of the faith and they don't know that the first commandment from their God is I am the one and only God and you can't worship anybody else. How can you not know that? But let's go on to the second one. The second one. So first of all, the first commandment, you'll have no other gods before me. Are you going to keep trying to talk over me? Because I'll just fucking mute you. So the first commandment is that thou shalt have no other gods before me. Clearly, the United States doesn't follow that commandment because I'm allowed to have whatever God I want or otherwise. That we agree on. The second commandment is thou shalt not make into thee any graven images. Is that a law in the United States?
You shall not make a graven image. I guess you're right. That's not a law.
Sure. And the third one is thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. So can I say fuck God and fuck Yahweh and fuck Jesus and fuck Allah and be under no possible repercussions from that?
Matt, the fuck police, I think, are knocking on your door right now. They're going to arrest you, take you to fuck jail.
If you said that in a public forum, you might get some sort of indecency.
You're fucking wrong. Right. You are monumentally fucking wrong. I'm on here with a lawyer. Johnny, can I say this out in public? Can I say it on the steps of the Capitol? Can I shout it through a megaphone on the steps of the Capitol if I have a permit to gather there?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. So that's 3 so far, and you've been wrong about all 3.
Wow.
What's the fourth command?
You're probably Well, I'm going to say you're probably going to have to answer for everything you just said at some point, whether...
It's one of those.
I don't know.
One of those.
Who? Are you fucking threatening me? Is that what you're doing? Did you decide to threaten me? Is that how we're going? Because you're fucking losing and you're being embarrassed publicly. So now you're going to say that I'm going to have to answer for it.
What's the hellfire?
What's the fourth commandment there?
Oh, I'm not saying I'm just saying if there is a God and you just said those.
Yes, I know. You're threatening me with your fictional best friend. Would you stop threatening me, whether it's your fictional best friend or not, and actually answer the questions? Because I'm getting ready to own you like a slave. Okay, so the fourth commandment is remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Is that a matter of law in the United States? Am I required to keep the Sabbath in the United States?
I will say that a lot of job places are required to give you...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You are the most dishonest person on this ever. I'm asking about what the law is. Can I be legally... Can I be legally found guilty of anything for not keeping the Sabbath holy?
No.
How about honoring my father and mother? Am I required to do that?
Well, if by that's a contextual issue, because if you're killing somebody and you're dishonorably
wow, you are the most dishonest interlocutor I've had the displeasure of having a conversation with. I asked about honoring your father and mother, and you want to suggest that killing them would be dishonoring them. Are you stupid or are you being honest here?
Not that directly.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I think he's a no-bake cookie, Matt.
Yeah. I don't think you know the first thing about your Bible, because the next commandment is thou shalt not murder, and that's a matter of law. But the one after that is don't commit adultery, and that's not illegal. Mm-hmm. The one after that is don't steal. Congratulations, we now have a second one that is actually a law. The one after that is do not bear false witness, and that's only illegal if you're sworn to tell the truth in a courtroom, in which case you could be held accountable for perjury. After that, it's do not covet your neighbor's house, your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's animals, etc., like that. Mm-hmm. The United States is built on coveting. It is keeping up with the Joneses. That is the foundation of our economy that produces the GDP that you want to brag about. The GDP of the United States is based on a violation of the 10 Commandments, which is about keeping up with the Joneses and coveting what your neighbors have. You have come in with the most embarrassingly bad sequence of arguments and general ignorance about your own religion and the laws of the country in which you reside. What else you got for us?
What you got, Ray?
That last one that you mentioned, I don't agree with that, because people work to buy a house so that they have shelter and so that they have food, not because they want to be better than their neighbors.
No, I didn't say better than. I said keep up with it. That's why people try to live in the better neighborhood. That's why people try to find a better job. That's why people go out and buy the next iPhone, even if their current iPhone is good. You have a monumentally indefensible and stupid position, and you should recognize that and change it.
Ray, your ideas are bad, and you should feel bad.
No, you guys are bad. That last argument does not hold up. I don't think the majority of Americans go to work every day to keep up with the Joneses.
And you're an idiot.
That doesn't make any sense.
You're an idiot.
Assumption about the majority of the population.
It's not an assumption about that. I'm telling you, from the GDP, the very thing that you called in about proves you wrong.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Go away. I have no more for you. I've presented facts and arguments, and you're just like, I don't think it works that way. Well, you don't even know your own book. You don't know the law. You don't know the law of the nation that you're in. You have been wrong at every point. If you're right about one point, congratulations.
In the correct order does not mean I don't know the books.
You don't know them in any order, you lying little shit.
Matt, I think I'm done with this guy. You done with him?
Yeah.
All right, Ray.
If I ask you what the 10 Commandments are, and you go to murder, and you don't know anything else, and you think the first one might be to honor your father and mother, don't pretend that you knew them all. If you knew them all, you would know that 2 of them are related to laws in the United States, and the rest of them are not.